Okay, so we did go out and get a 6-tier steel shelf, and on the very bottom I've got cleaning supplies, then I've got my Presto canner, plus a big pot that I used to have and used to use a long time ago but stopped using. Too big for the stove, but this was good for water bath canning outdoors. And next shelf I've put dishes in that, and I know I've covered them up. Yep. And a little bit of dry goods and mason jars and other things up. So definitely pleased with as much room as I have now. It's a little bit better. I could probably bring some more things. And I managed to free up the counter, which is good because this is the only real workspace that I have. It's a great big long counter and I'm happy to have it. And that is definitely a good workspace. And I thought that while we were here I would definitely try to can up some tomato puree. I did bring my little hand tomato mill, so I can process a limited quantity, but I don't have to do too much. Now I'm starting off with 25 pounds, that's all I bought, simply because I don't have all the other tools that I normally have with me. Don't have large pots. Actually, I do have one of my very large pots. Don't know that I can want to use this stove because it is glass top. And we drove around to about 5 or 6 different places looking for just a propane burner. Just a simple, single propane burner. And all I found were these complex turkey roasters, which is not what I'm looking for. It's a completely different item. I used to have one, had it for years. When we sold the house, I gave it away. I figured I'd never be able to use that again. So I have been canning my tomatoes on a stove, but I don't have any large pots except a very large pot, which I'm reluctant to put on this glass top. So right now I'm just washing all my jars. I have a whole bunch of them in the sink. I have 2 milk crates here. I have enough jars of the half pints to do at least 50 jars of tomatoes, and if I have time before we leave to do a second batch, that would make it 50 pounds, and that would be, I think, adequate. You know, I'm thinking that 25 pounds is a little light for the required time that we expect to be here, but doing what we can. At least we'll have something here. Well, this will be my first attempt at canning in Alabama, and I have to apologize, the lighting is terrible in this room. We did pick up a 25-pound box of tomatoes from the farm. Right now I just want to wash them all first, and 25 pounds is a very small amount for me to do, but I only have my little hand tomato squeezer, so it's probably enough to start. Here we go. I've got a sink full here. Now what I want to do is wash these and toss them into the hot water, and they're fairly clean, which is nice. You know, you never know what you're getting. Sometimes they're caked in mud, but these just have a little bit of dust on them. And they're pretty huge. They're plum tomatoes. That's all I ever use to make sauce because they're a lot meatier. You don't have as much liquid to remove from them. Oh yeah, these are clean. No doubt about it, they're good. Okay, let's toss the rest of them in here. Now I've got my canner on the stove. That is the biggest pot I have to be able to use. So what I do is I boil these. First boil, and probably the only boil, before they're canned. I know some people like to boil down the liquid. I do it a little bit differently. Okay, make sure that there's nothing on them. Nope, that's good. Okay. Now these all should fit in that canner and boil all at once. And all I want to do is split the skin. I don't really want to cook them, because the less that you cook them, the more fresh tomato flavor you end up with. That's my take on it anyway. Now these are good. Wow, are they ever big? Plum tomatoes that I get in Canada are, you know, probably about that size. And I'm getting them this size. Look at the difference. Okay, first step, washing, is done. Looks like we'll probably have to do these in batches. And I'm going to start putting them in carefully. I really didn't want to run this on this stove, but I'm going to for now. Yeah, I'll probably have to do these in batches of two batches, which is fine. Not bad at all. Now I also prepared a couple of buckets. Boy, did these things come in handy. You need food grade buckets, and the way you know them is by the code on the bottom. So Home Depot buckets are food grade. They can be used, so I picked up 2 of these. And I've washed this out. So once the skin splits on those, they will be pulled out and put into this bucket. Unfortunately, I don't have big scoops. I'm trying to make do with what I have here. I was only able to find a small one of these guys. I have a larger one at home, which would have been perfect. So I've got one of these as well. So hopefully with the 2 of them together, I should be able to scoop out these tomatoes fairly quickly. Well, probably get 3 at a time. That'll do though. Okay, I've removed my first batch of tomatoes, the skin split. Now I'm putting the second batch in, and we're going to let these boil until the skin splits as well. And then we'll take it to the next phase where we, well, I'll show you that. Okay, I've brought everything outside, which is where I much prefer to do my tomato processing. And I have to go to Dollar Tree to purchase a colander because I didn't have one here. And I only managed to find a plastic one that was big enough. They had a metal one, but the metal one was way too small for my purposes. So hopefully things will work out here. Anyway, I've got my machine all set up. I've got 2 buckets here. I've got one to pick up the juice, and the other one has more tomatoes. And this one is straining in the colander. As soon as this is emptied, well, we'll have to start straining that a little bit more. I do not reboil these tomatoes to get rid of the liquid. I just strain it really good beforehand, okay? I know that a lot of people do it the other way. But to me, that you're already cooking the tomatoes and you've got a cooked flavor as opposed to a fresh tomato flavor. Okay, I'm going to load this. I think that this process with 25 pounds will get done pretty fast. Okay, and at this point, I think I'm going to strain the balance. There. And here we go. I've got a pot here to catch the seeds and the peel. The only thing with this setup is that this little table is on wheels, so it might move a bit. I have to be cautious of that. I wonder if the wheels can be locked. No, they cannot. This was something that Mark had, and I'm taking advantage of it. So this is my first canning experience. There, see, it's on wheels. Got to be careful here. First canning experience in Alabama. Okay, well, I washed all my jars yesterday and put them back in this crate to be able to carry them and for storage. They'll end up back in this crate when they're full. So my tomatoes have all been pureed and they're here. I ended up with one small pot of seeds and peel. And now, oh yes, my funnel. So now I'm going to fill all the jars first, and you should add some lemon juice in order to make sure that the acidic level is adequate. Oh yeah, this turned out quite nice. I was a little afraid it might be too watery. That'll do it. Put another bucket here to raise this one up to a height that's a little bit better. Okay, a little easier for me to reach. I have no idea the quantity of jars that I'm going to get. But whatever it is, it's better than what we had. And I can't bring any from Canada that I have made. I can't make them all there and bring them down here, which certainly would be easier, but easier in the sense that I have the bigger machine there and I could do it all in one batch. But I'm quite happy to start canning down here as well. And I'm just using pint jars because it's just Mark and I. I may have to get him to go and get another. I don't think this is making as much as I thought it would. No, maybe it's actually making what it should. I think a bushel used to make between 15 and 18 quarts, depending on how thick you made it. So half a bushel would be between 15 and 18 pints. What do I have? Don't think I have quite that many. Five, 7, 9, 11. Well, it is what it is. 11 is better than none. All right, so I've got my jars filled now, and it's time to clean the rims. I've got some vinegar set up here. I've got my lids in some hot water, and my rings are ready. So let's get these rims cleaned off. Unfortunately, I don't have my little magnetic item that picks up the lids, so we'll just have to do it by hand on the edges. Okay, 1. And you want to make sure that there is no food residue on the rim. I'll tighten that up later. Just want to get these covered right now. Okay. Now I'm going to water bath can these. I'm not going to pressure can. I may use my pressure canner to do it, but I'm not going to pressure can. Let's get a fresh paper towel here. Okay. These are Alabama grown tomatoes. And the ones we get in Canada, I don't know if they come from Mexico or California, but it's either one or the other. I think they mostly come from California, to tell you the truth. That's what the boxes seem to say. Okay, we are good and done. Now it's just a matter of snugging these up. Okay, so we looked around for a propane burner, a simple propane burner for a day, so that we could boil these tomatoes on the deck, on the patio out back. And then we came up with the idea of using the fire pit, I guess. Is that what you call it, Mark?
Yeah. It's kind of like an outdoor grill.
It's an outdoor grill that we've got here. Although it's making a nice mess of my pot. I guess I'm going to have a big job cleaning that soot off. But I've got my tomatoes boiling in there. And once it comes to a boil, then we have to count 40 minutes. And then we could either take them off the fire or we can just leave it there until the whole thing burns out. This is the way we used to do it when I was a child. I have not done this since my parents did that in their own backyard when I was like 5 years old or 6 years old. So yes, it's Mark's built the fire. We bought one little load of firewood, and then he chopped more that from a limb that had not touched the ground and was had come down probably a couple of years ago. So we have enough firewood for this job, hopefully. So just taking advantage of what's on the land. And it appears I am getting some ripening figs, so yay. I have eaten a few. That one's coming. You know, they're not very large. There's a few more there. Yeah, these figs are quite small. I was surprised that they're that small. Here's a bunch more that are starting to ripen. I think I got like 3 or 4 of them right there. So they'll probably be ready in another day or so. Another one up there. Another one here. Yeah, they're all starting to add color. 2 more right there. They're changing color. We're going to have a fig explosion pretty soon. So there's another one. Yeah, and a bunch up there.